What do you mean? Free speech. Capitalists, we weren't really operating in a capitalist mode. We were very socialist. Like, we're all like communists.
I am a black, gay, immigrant woman. The first of all three of those to hold this position.
I will absolutely leave the court when I do my job as poorly as you do yours.
The White House press secretary office got a new press secretary. The first day was a little bit rough. Clarence Thomas made a funny joke, and also Project Veritas went undercover again and got some Twitter employees to say some things that I'm sure they now regret. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is May 17th, the year of our Lord 2022. Brand new you in 22. Brand new Twitter owner in 2022, hopefully. Got some really interesting undercover stuff from Project Veritas. James O'Keefe, our friends over at Project Veritas, got some really good undercover footage. The press secretary is new, yes, as of yesterday, and had a rough start. And also Clarence Thomas made some jokes. Jeff Bezos is apparently more based than we thought. I don't know. But I want to start with this. This is the Twitter employees getting caught under. Not caught. I don't know if is caught the right word? Caught on camera saying some pretty interesting things about the internal workings of Twitter. The Project Veritas is probably the best outlet when it comes to these sorts of things. But James O'Keefe over there at Project Veritas is doing some great undercover work. They were the guys that caught the Antifa teacher in Sacramento. What did he say? I've got 180 days to radicalize these students. They got Van Jones talking about the Russia Gate being a big nothing burger, among many other things. Oh, the vaccine people, the Pfizer people caught undercover too. So a lot of interesting stuff. Now, Project Veritas came out with a brand new video about Twitter employees. Holy cow. So apparently Twitter employees are a little bit more biased than they've claimed. Twitter, so you know, has been claiming that they're down the middle. You know, we're not doing anything in particular. It's been obvious that has been a lie, but finally, somebody from Twitter has been talking to James O'Keefe and Project Veritas about how not unbiased they are. Watch these clips. These are fascinating to see. Again, caught undercover. We'll break it up and talk about it. Let me know in the comment sections what you think and how you think about these clips. Again, caught undercover. Twitter employees talking about what they actually think behind closed doors. Watch this.
Twitter is not doing free speech.
What do you
Not
mean?
doing free speech. Capitalists, we weren't really operating in a capitalist mode. We were very socialist. Like, we're all like communists.
Ideologically, it does not make sense, like, because we're actually censoring the right, not the left. So if everyone on the right wing will be like, bro, it's okay to say, just gotta tolerate it. The left will be like, no, I'm not gonna tolerate it. I need it censored, or else I'm not gonna be on the platform. So it does serve the right. It's true, there is bias.
I don't know if the two parties can truly coexist on one platform.
So there's a couple things that were said there that I thought were interesting that I think we should talk about. The guy right here on the screen, I think later on in the video we'll see that he says, I'm more of a free speech person, but this is how the internal workings of Twitter work. What he was saying is that people on the right side of the aisle generally tend to think, if you disagree with somebody, they still have to have the opportunity to say it. While people on the left, which again, this should come as a no surprise to anybody, but people on the left said, no, I need that censored. I need it censored right now. I cannot handle all the free speech going on right here. I don't know what that little voice was. But apparently that's what they think at Twitter. And so he says specifically, yeah, there's more bias against right-leaning stuff because the Twitter users and the Twitter offices don't think that free speech is a real thing. He said at the very beginning that Twitter doesn't believe in free speech. Elon Musk believes in free speech. And then he said, because they're commie as F. Watch this as this continues to go. We'll stop it intermittently and have some more conversations. Again, let me know in the comment section what you think about this. Check out more from this Project Veritas video.
What do your colleagues say about it?
They hate it. Oh my god, I'm at least like okay with it, but some of my colleagues are like super left.
What do they say?
They're like, this will be my last day if it happens.
Has much changed since like Elon's coming out?
A lot has changed. A lot has changed. We're all like worried for our jobs.
Why are you guys so worried?
You know, jobs are at stake. He's
Like I started working for Twitter and became left. I think it's just like the environment. Like you're there, and you become like calm.
We did all we could to like revolt against it. A lot of employees revolted against it. But at the end of the day, board of directors had the say, and then they acted on their best interest because they didn't want to get sued.
So, okay, so just a couple things to quickly clear up, because I think the next clip is actually fascinating about the actual goings-ons of the office. But that guy was saying, yeah, Twitter employees are scared for their jobs. They don't know what they'll do if Elon Musk ends up buying Twitter and that acquisition does, in fact, close. Oh, no. Says that particular Twitter employee. And then he said too, like we mentioned beforehand, he's like, I'm more okay with it, but some people are just outraged. Now, the next clip, they kind of get into talking a little bit about the actual work culture and what they do there at Twitter. And I think Elon Musk figured this out sooner than we did, and which is what provoked a tweet that he had, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago. He said, people at Twitter are going to be held to a very, very high standard, but not higher than the one that I hold to myself. Basically, Elon saying people at Twitter are going to work very, very, very hard, as all of the other people at his other companies do. Now, that being said, watch this clip and see if you think that they're going to be used to working hard. Check it out.
I basically went to work like 4 hours a week last quarter. That's just how it works in our company.
Yeah. How would you describe communism besides Twitter?
Essentially, like everyone gets to do whatever they want. No one really cares about like OpEx, like capitalists don't care about numbers, but care about like how to make the business more efficient. But in Twitter, it's like mental health is everything. Like if you're not feeling it, you can take a few days off. People take months off, they'll come back, but you always like do your best at any time, and that's the culture. And you know, we'll run the business as much as possible. Capitalists would be like, you gotta generate profits or you're out. A lot of people look at survival that culture.
So that to me is freaking fascinating. That's how they're apparently operate their offices. They basically say, hey, you know, come in, do what you want. If you feel like working not all that long, go ahead and take a couple months off and then come back whenever you feel like you're ready to do the job. That would be really interesting to see how that correlates with the plunging stock prices they had a couple months ago, a couple years ago. Twitter has not been super profitable. Their revenue has not been great. Actually, I'm not even sure if they're profitable at all. Their revenue stream has been subpar. And maybe, just maybe, Elon is figuring out, yeah, the reason why your revenue stream is not where it should be or where it could be is because you guys don't work very hard. This guy said he worked about 4 hours last quarter. Oh my gosh, where do I sign up for that? But that is, again, what's going on at Twitter. We'll see if Elon comments on this sort of stuff. I'm going to be actually super, super curious to see if he says anything related to this Twitter leak, not Twitter leak, Project Veritas catching some of the Twitter people on camera talking about how they feel about their company and Elon taking over. But more on this. The press secretary had a little bit of a rough day. Karine Jean-Pierre. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. I was not paying attention to when other people were pronouncing it on the cable news last night. But the White House has a new press Take two. Oh my goodness. The White House has a new press secretary, and it was a little bit of a rough day. Now, I want to play this clip first to get this out of the way before we get to Peter Ducey's question. This is a thing that I don't know why people care about so much. I don't care about it at all, but apparently people care about it, especially people on the left care a lot about being the first black lesbian immigrant. It doesn't matter to me. Are you good at the job or are you not good at the job? But watch this clip. This is from the brand new press secretary of the White House on her first day.
I am obviously acutely aware that my presence at this podium represents a few firsts. I am a black, gay, immigrant woman, the first of all three of those to hold this position. I would not be here today if it were not for generations of barrier-breaking people before me. I stand on their shoulders. If it were not for generations of barrier-breaking people before me, I would not be here. But I benefit from their sacrifices. I have learned from their excellence, and I am forever grateful to them. Representation does matter. You hear us say this often in this administration, and no one understands this better than President Biden.
Who cares is what I have to say about that. I do not care whether you are whatever minority thing that you claim. I don't care. I don't know why anybody else cares. What we should care about is, are you good at the job or are you not good at the job? And here's the thing too. Not only does caring about that stuff not matter at all, at least in my world, I think it actually does severe damage to minorities if you're thinking about it. Because the left and the current administration cares so much about being the first person to nominate a black female Supreme Court justice or to have a black gay immigrant woman press secretary, because they care so much about that, people are giving a lot of scrutiny to the fact of whether or not those people are qualified to do the job. And that comes with the idea that we're going to put these people here in place no matter what. With the Supreme Court justice, we've talked about this a lot. With Ketanji Brown Jackson, the only thing that Joe Biden did was diminish her reputation. Now, you may have thoughts about her, and that's regardless of your thoughts about her and regardless of whether or not you think she's qualified. That completely is irrelevant because Joe Biden said, I'm going to hire a black woman, which, if he's only going to pick from that subsect of the population, only diminishes her credibility, because now everybody's saying, well, did he pick her because she's qualified and the best for the job, or did he pick her because she fits the standard in which he, for some reason, set for himself? Same thing goes with the press secretary. I have no idea whether or not this lady's going to be good at her job. She has some tweets that were pretty extreme that people have seen and have started to resurface. She's called the United States a racist place. She was very, very critical of the race relations after the George Floyd incident. Not the best person that I would put up there from things that she's said in the past. However, nobody at this point is going to be judging her on her merits. Well, I will, but a bunch of people, and this is what the Biden administration has left the door open for, but a bunch of people are going to say, well, did she just get the job because she can check off all of those boxes because for some reason that matters? Or did she get the job because she's qualified and has the merit and skill to do it? Regardless of whether or not she does have the merit and skill to do it, that question is always going to be out there and is going to hinder her performance for the entirety of her stay as the press secretary of the United States. With that, let's get to a question asked by Fox News' Peter Ducey. Actually, I think that's Peter Ducey. I listened to it and it sounded like him. I don't think there's actually any visual of it, but here is the press secretary on her first day getting rattled by a tough question. Watch this.
Corinne, congratulations.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you out there.
Thank you.
The president's Twitter account posted the other day, you want to bring down inflation, let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share. How does raising taxes on corporations reduce inflation?
Are you talking about a specific tweet?
He tweeted, you want to bring down inflation, let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share.
Look, we have talked about this past year about making sure that the wealthiest among us are paying their fair share, and that is important to do, and that is something that the president has been working on every day when we talk about inflation and lowering costs, and so it's very important that as we're seeing costs rise, as we're talking about how to build a America that's safe, that's equal for everyone and doesn't leave everyone behind. That is an important part of that as well.
But how does raising taxes on corporations lower the cost of gas, the cost of a used car, the cost of food for everyday Americans?
So look, I think we encourage those who have done very well, right? Especially those who care about climate change, to support a fair tax code that doesn't charge manufacturers, workers, cops, builders a higher percentage of their earnings, that the most fortunate people in our nation, and not let that stand in the way of reducing energy costs and fighting this existential problem, if you think about that as an example. And to support basic collective bargaining rights as well, right? That's also important. But look, it is, without having a fair tax code, which is what I'm talking about, then like manufacturing workers, cops, it's not fair for them to have to pay higher taxes than the folks who are not paying taxes at all.
But what does that have to do with inflation? The president said, you want to bring down inflation, let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share. Jeff Bezos came out and tweeted about that. He said the newly created disinformation board should review this tweet. Would you be okay with that?
Look, it's not a huge mystery why one of the wealthiest individuals on earth, right, opposes an economic agenda that is for the middle class, that cuts some of the biggest costs families face, fights inflation for the long haul, right? And that's what we're talking about. That's why we're talking about lowering inflation here, and adds to the historic deficit reduction the president is achieving by asking the richest taxpayers and corporations to pay their fair share. That is what we're talking about.
Okay, so none of that made any sense, and then that brings us to this, because this is fascinating. This is Jeff Bezos, who apparently, I assume, well, not I assume, but Jeff Bezos has been on like the woke brigade, has been coming after the president. That tweet that was mentioned there, the newly created disinformation board, we brought it up yesterday. Jeff Bezos tweeted, raising corporate tax is fine to discuss. Taming inflation is critical to discuss. Mushing them together is just misdirection. Then yesterday, he went on to tweet, because the White House put out a statement on what he said. Jeff Bezos went out to tweet, look, a squirrel. This is the White House's statement about my tweets. I'm not going to read the full statement. They understandably want to muddy the waters. They know inflation hurts the neediest the most, but unions aren't causing inflation, and neither are wealthy people. Remember, the administration tried their best to add another $3.5 trillion to the federal spending. They failed, but if they had succeeded, inflation would be even higher than it is today, and inflation is at a 40-year high. Again, did anybody have, I'm stealing this joke from, Brett Cooper, I think, said this. Did anybody have based Jeff Bezos on their 2022 bingo card? I don't think so at all. Jeff Bezos 2 days ago tweeted, in fact, the administration tried hard to inject even more stimulus, like we just said, into an already overheated inflationary economy, and only mansions saved them from themselves. Inflation is a regressive tax that most hurts the least affluent. Misdirection does not help the country. Dude, what? What is happening? Woke Jeff Bezos, who owns the woke Washington Post, apparently understands inflation and is hitting the president for it. Now, I don't want to categorize Jeff Bezos into an entirely lefty category, because I don't really know where he stands on all of the specific issues. Socially, I think he's been pretty pretty hip to the woke crowd. But at the same time, what is happening, dude? Again, did anybody have based Jeff Bezos happening this year? I don't know. But speaking of basedness, I want to get to this. Oh shoot, there we go. I want to get to this. Did you see this Clarence Thomas clip? Oh no, we're frozen. It's the deep state. Watch this Clarence Thomas clip from yesterday where he's talking to a group of students where I'm not entirely sure where they are, but he's talking about the Supreme Court and the media. Watch this. This is just a funny little joke to end it on. I hope this thing plays because we've been having some technical difficulties this morning. Watch this.
One of the things I say in response to the media is when they talk about, or especially early on, about the way I did my job, I said, I will absolutely leave the court when I do my job as poorly as you do yours. And that was meant as a compliment, really.
I think we've neglected this side of the room.
Oh, gosh.
All the way over here, yes.
It really is good to be me. It really is.
Very quick.
That's Clarence Thomas making a joke about the media, saying, yeah, I will resign the second the media, what did he say? I don't even remember. He'll quit doing his job if they quit doing their job. As soon as he starts doing his job as bad as the media does theirs. But again, funny coming out of our favorite Supreme Court justice. I'm not going to speak for you, but Clarence Thomas is ranks up there pretty dang high with awesomeness when it comes to the Supreme Court. I think Joe Biden voted against him. At least he had some very interesting questions when he was being nominated as one of the first, I think the second Black Supreme Court justice. Apparently, Joe Biden cares about Black Supreme Court justices now a lot, but didn't at the time. So there's that. Let's see. That's going to do it for us today. Tomorrow, we've got some interesting stuff on the Minister of Truth. She's back. There are more and more and more tweets, Zoom calls, resurfacing of the hand-picked Biden disinformation chief. Are we allowed to say chief anymore? I think that's racist somehow. I don't know. The truth minister, I forget her name, but more stuff is coming out that she said a while ago that makes her pretty unqualified for the job. But all of that and more tomorrow. We will be. Oh, if you haven't already, shoot me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Would really appreciate it. Just type in @JOBOB. You'll find me pretty much anywhere: Twitter, Facebook, social media. I've been twittering a lot more nowadays. I didn't used to. Now I'm tweeting more. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be an interesting follow for you if you feel so inclined. You can also rewatch the podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, anywhere we stream this thing. You can also download the podcast and listen to the audio while you're doing your yard work or whatever it is that you're doing. And with that, we will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place in the dingy bunker. See you then. God bless America.